What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the 90 Degrees Fightcast. I'm here with Zain and Hassan. Zain's been an amateur boxer. He's just started his career in his amateur boxing. We're going to find out a little bit more. We aim to follow his journey as he's an up-and-coming fighter, planning to go pro, right?
Yeah, hopefully to see. Yeah, so obviously I want to try win the elites, win a few national titles, and then see if I can win them. Then I know I can go pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what got you into boxing? Tell me your journey.
My cousin Hassan, he was a boxer as well. So he used to box, and my uncles, they were Muay Thai fighters. So one of them went pro in Thailand. He had about 3 fights. And when you grow up and you look up to these people, like your uncles, your cousins, like your brother, you look up to them. Yeah. And that made me want to get into boxing as well, or get into some sort of sport.
Yeah, I see what you mean. No, do you know that I know exactly what you mean. I had a tough childhood, isn't it? And I can imagine, it's one of those things where you find yourself getting into stuff at a young age, right? You're how old?
I'm 19.
Right,
yeah,
19, yeah? So in terms of your fights, right? How do you prepare for them?
Yeah, so I had my first fight when I was 15. So I started boxing when I was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
And I had 2 fights when I was 15. And then
early.
So I started early and I trained quite hard for them fights, but not as hard I train now. So I took a break, there was COVID and I stopped boxing and stuff. So I'm 19 now and I've had 2 fights in the last 2 weeks. And the training for that, I've been training intense. So I train at Repton Boxing Club. I don't know if you heard of it, it's in Bethnal Green.
Yeah.
So it's quite a popular boxing, it's a big boxing
I actually
club.
went there.
Yeah, exactly.
I went there for 1 year. It was on and off. I remember my brother used to drag me there when I was 15 because I got bullied.
Yeah.
Right? And he dragged me there and that's actually what gave me my confidence. So you've been up Repton for...
Well, I've been there for like a year now. I've been at Repton for like a year. And they've been trying to get me out as much as they can now. Before Ramadan, I'm aiming to have maybe another 2 or 3 fights. And by the end of the year, I should hopefully have about 10 fights this year.
So how does it work with the amateur league, right?
So, so obviously you're with a club, England Boxing Club, so like Repton. And then once your coaches think you're ready, there's shows more or less every week all up and down the country.
Nice.
Like this week, Repton, they took some of the girls out to Sweden to box. Last week I was boxing in Portsmouth. We might go Ireland in March. There's a lot of opportunities. Amateur boxing runs basically the whole year except summer. There's a bit of a break.
Okay.
So some people have maybe 2 or 3 and some people have about 10 fights or 15.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in terms of your first fight, tell me a little bit because I'm going to ask you how did you deal with the anxiety?
My mum and dad never used to want me to box, innit? They knew I trained, but they never knew I was going to box. I was about 15. You have to get your parents to sign your thing.
Is it like the disclaimer?
Your waiver,
the waiver, yeah.
I can't remember who signed it, but my mum and dad didn't sign it because I didn't tell them. So I must have been about 15, and my coach just said, my coach just called me and he said, "Oh, we've got a fight." And I was about 15, 16. I said, "Okay, cool." I didn't tell my mum, didn't tell my dad. I just told them I'm going training. This was my first fight. I lost this fight. The boy had 7 fights. This was my first fight, and I lost in a split. So the split is where one judge will give it to you, and 2 will give it to the other judge. I went Woking with another boxer. He drove us up there. Yeah, that was my first fight. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my cousin. I just went there and I did my thing, and I came home. Obviously, when you're 15, you're basically a kid. You're still a kid. I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
So I went up there and there's a lot of pressure. Like your first fight, you're very nervous.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of kids have their parents' support in it. When you don't have no support, you haven't told no one. It's just you on your own. It's very nerve-wracking. I remember I was there and I was watching videos on my phone of like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali to try and get me a bit
boosted up.
That's where I went wrong because I went in the first round and I smashed the boy. I just threw everything. And the second and third round came and I was tired.
You gassed out.
I was gassed out because he's had 7 fights. The boy had a lot more. He kind of knew, okay, now I can just ping him off, jab, yeah.
And the adrenaline doesn't help, does it?
Nah, the adrenaline, because the adrenaline, you want to go for it. Like, I was throwing hooks, I was swinging, and then I was finished for the rest of the fight. But it's good, you learn a lot in it from experiences like that.
You reflect on it and everything.
Especially at a young age as well. You can only build from that. You can't really go backwards.
Yeah.
Did
you have your coach come with you?
Yeah, coaches have to come with you. They have to do the corners.
Yeah.
Nice. I remember when I went into my first jiu-jitsu fight, right? It's so important to have a good coach. Yeah, I won't name the coach, but what happened was I went into the first fight. It was my first competition. And what happened is I'm nervous as it is, and you got that kind of adrenaline rush and your hands are shaking and you see the person you're going to fight. And then my coach goes, "Oh, Habib, he knows judo. He's dangerous.
Man.
He's dangerous." He broke me. Yeah, at that point it broke me, and I remember I fought my best, but I got whooped because mentally I was already gone. Psychologically I was gone. So it's really important.
Bro, that's relatable. You know, my first coach, my first amateur club, it was a small club. It's not like Repton. It's not a big club that's known.
Yeah.
It's just a small club where I live. I live in Mitcham, like near Croydon. So it was a small club around there. Yeah. And before my fight, he's telling me, don't worry if you get knocked out, don't worry, blah blah. And I think, why is he telling me this stuff? Before my fight, he's talking about getting knocked out, and he's saying, if you lose, you're never coming back to the gym and all this stuff.
He said that stuff?
Yeah.
That's not good.
And bro, it was putting me off. He was he's a character, innit? He's not someone, you don't meet someone like that often. He'll say whatever came in his head.
Okay.
So that put me off before the fight as well, because it's your first fight at 15 and the guy's telling you, don't worry if you get knocked out, blah blah, this and that, talking about getting knocked, just being negative.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even doing my corner, because back then he had a professional license, and if you had a pro license, you weren't allowed to do the amateurs as well. So he was just standing at the side. Someone else did my corner.
Yeah.
And he was just standing at the side shouting stuff, and it was just hard to concentrate, because when you box, like my cousin probably told you, you don't hear nothing. People can be shouting anything outside the ring. As soon as you start boxing, you don't hear anything. You're so focused, everything's quiet, so you don't hear nothing. And if your coach is already out there, you're not really going to be hearing what he's saying, what he's telling you.
Have you, so, hold on. What I noticed when, obviously, I don't have boxing actual fight experience, but I've had jiu-jitsu experience.
You've got combat experience.
I've got combat experience. Now, when I was fighting, right, I know exactly what you mean where you can't hear people, but sometimes, like, I don't know what it's like in boxing, but in jiu-jitsu, you've got that moment where you kind of, like, can try listen to your coach because you don't know what to do. There was a time where I was trying to get a choke on. I couldn't get the choke on. And then it wasn't my coach, it was my brother. Right, where he is kind of like my coach, because he's champion level now, and it was like Habib, pull the head, because I did the choke. I think it was the triangle choke, and it wasn't working no matter what I was doing. He goes, pull the head and lift up, right? And so sometimes I honed in at that point because I didn't know what to do. But in jiu-jitsu, you've got like you can hold it for that moment. In boxing, you try this and out.
So before you have 20 fights. Or before you become an elite boxer is open class. So you could have 20 fights, someone could have 100. You do 3-minute rounds and you have a 1 minute break between them.
Yeah.
And if you've had less than 20 fights, you're just a novice boxer. So you do 3 2-minute rounds and you have a 1 minute break between them. So in that 1 minute break, some coaches get you to sit down, some get you to stand up, but they'll talk to you within that break. And that's when you can really lock into what they're saying. Yeah. Obviously, they shout stuff as well.
So in between, you won't hear it. It's
sometimes you hear it, but it's not as clear cut as when.
Yeah. And then you get kind of a mini game plan, and you go back out there.
That's like when you've coached people before.
Yeah.
Like he's coached boxers, innit, and he's done the corner, so he could probably tell you. Do they listen, innit?
It depends on the boxer, you know that, and the experience. So, one of my boxers, George, it was his second fight, and I kept saying to him that your opponent's weak to the body. So I said, throw the backhand to the body, throw the front hook to the head, and you'll drop him.
Yeah.
And he done that, and it worked. But it's about executing a game plan. It depends how comfortable the boxer is as well. So for me, when I had my bouts, I remember my first, because I had 12 amateur fights.
Yeah.
I had 12 amateur fights, and then I had like about 8 like unlicensed white collar fights after that.
Yeah.
I would say on my last 2 amateur fights, that's where I could hear what the cornerman was saying. In the fight, I was so comfortable that I'll be boxing someone, and my coach would be like, "Listen, throw a check hook," and I'll just throw it. And I could hear the coach, and I'll start laughing. But it depends on the boxer as well. Some boxers are proper tunnel vision, and they're just very aggressive. I was a counter puncher, so I was always relaxed in the ring.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what's my opponent gonna throw, how am I gonna counter him as well. But it depends on comfort as well in the ring. Yeah. How comfortable you get in the ring.
And I guess
the level of experience.
IQ, right?
Yeah. So I had a good boxing IQ. That was one thing I always realised. I had a good boxing IQ. Now looking back at it, when I look at like the youngsters compete, a lot of them just go there and just have a brawl. But it's all about having the boxing IQ. Yeah. But I was comfortable. I could hear the boxers in the ring. I could hear the judges like talking in the background and stuff. I could hear all that stuff. But it depends on the level of comfort,
confidence,
and experience and confidence as well. Like with him, when he said he was nervous in his fights, with me I didn't have that same pressure because I didn't have no one at my fights. So I had 12 amateur fights. Yeah. I had it when I was like 15, 16, 17. Okay. The only people that used to come to my fights were my boys from school. So 2-3 of my boys used to come from school, and that's it. Because I never told my family I was competing because like my mum was. She wasn't too fond of me doing boxing, to be honest, I would say. My granddad, he wasn't too fond of it as well. So they were like, study instead. So I was studying, but low-key I was boxing, going to shows and stuff, competing. So I never had that pressure. I was like, I'm just going to perform, give it, like, do what I want to do in the ring. Yeah. But alhamdulillah, I won all my fights. But I would say, you know what it is? It was just down, it wasn't even down to how I trained, it was just down to my talent. I don't even say how I trained, because I wasn't taught boxing like how he's taught boxing.
Yeah.
I was taught, like, learn on the job, learn in sparring, learn on the fights. So I remember when I went into one fight, I boxed a boy called Simeon. He was a black boxer, very good boxer. He's my mate now.
Yeah.
And we had a fight, and I got mismatched. I had 4 fights at the time. He had like 11 fights. Good boxer. And my coach just kept saying to me, "Oh, put him on the back foot. You got power. You got power." I'm like, "Listen, you ain't taking the punches. Like, I can feel the punch." And I didn't used to listen to my cornerman. The only coach I listened to was Joe. I don't know if you ever met him. From the gym. You remember where I used to coach at?
Oh, maybe. He
was the only coach I listened to. So the other coaches, they weren't credible. Like, they used to give me combat experience. They used to be like, "Listen, throw this." I'm like, "But you've not had no fights before."
Oh, so you didn't really value?
I didn't used to value them. So they used to be like, "I'll go on the front foot, do this, do that." And I used to be like, "But you're not taking the punches, coach, man. He punches hard, this guy." And they were saying to me, "Go on the front foot for that fight." And I remember I was trying to go on the front foot, and he was just countering me off. And then I was like, "Okay, you know what, coaches? I'm gonna hit a move." And then I hit a move, and I just outpointed him on the bout.
Okay, so you had to basically use your own IQ and brain. And figure it out.
And it's about having an important relationship with the coach. So like his experience is different. He just started in the game.
Yeah.
Me, obviously, I had boxing fights, and then I became a coach. Ran my own boxing shows. So I ran 2 big boxing shows, alhamdulillah, which went really well. But then you learn a lot more about the game.
Yeah.
Like, some people are there just for the clout. Some people are there just for the clout, just to make a name off you. Some people want to see you lose. There's a lot of stuff
We'll go into that a bit more, but do you know what I was going to say is, see, with our culture, right, and I think it is our culture, we don't often get family support. Yeah.
I feel like that's changing, bro.
It's slowly changing, because there's people like you, American, Prince who basically went and did it on the side, right, and are doing it, and then now families are starting to be more aware.
Yeah.
I remember even with jiu-jitsu, my brother, me, whenever we said we were training, if we said it, because we wanted our parents to be proud, so we'd say, "Oh, we're doing this," and my brother used to come home, because I never really cared to compete. I'm getting into that kind of, I just want to train, and I'm like a backpacker martial artist. I just learn everything and anything I can. But she used to switch at us. And switch at him saying, "What you lot doing? You lot animals," or like gundas. Yeah, they say.
The worst thing is, sorry to cut you off. Yeah. The other day I was watching the Eubank fight with my granddad.
Yeah.
I was watching it with my granddad. And my granddad was like to me, "What have you done?" I was like, "What are you on about?" He was like, "Man, that could have been you." I was like, "Granddad, why
now,
are you doing this now?"
I was gonna say it's changed, because I remember when he used to do it, they used to tell him not to do it. But now when I do it, they want me to do it. Because they knew he could have done something with it.
Yeah.
The same with my dad now. Like
you probably changed it in the family, right?
Yeah. What is, you know what changed it more so? It wasn't me competing. Yeah. Because I used to come home with like my knuckles used to be swollen. I couldn't walk for 2 days, and I used to be proper like in pain and stuff. And sometimes what is this? Boxing's a full-time job. I used to kind of like skive off college and stuff, which wasn't good, because I wanted to go compete and train hard. I wanted to give it my full time. I remember in Ramadan I used to train. I used to train in Ramadan, fast, train, spar. And what happened was, when I started running the shows, the boxing shows, and start coaching people, and I was 19 as a boxing coach, I was his age as a boxing coach, having grown men like yourself that come down to the lessons, Habib and other people. And then when my family started seeing, they were like, "Wow, like, you done well for yourself as a boxer." And people were talking about me, and then I started running boxing shows. Then they were like, "Listen, don't give it up now." And I was like, "No, you know what, now it's too late, because now I've left that boxing chapter behind. I want to focus on coaching and running shows." And that's what it touched me. I was like, "Damn, Granddad, why did you say that? If you said that to me 5 years ago,
you know, I
like a different story." But now, like, because it's changed the way in our family as well, and with a lot of people now, at least like he can go with it, and he's got family support. Like now at this fight, I went, your dad went, my uncle went, and even my granddad wanted to come as well to watch the fight.
See, that's gonna be fun, man. I'm coming to the next one.
Come
to the next one. We want to follow the journey.
Weeks, hopefully.
Any of them, we're definitely gonna do and cover it. But you know what? It's really good that you got into it young. Like it's one of those things.
Like, even me, it's not young. Now you get kids. Bro, by the time they're about 12 or 13, they've already had about 20 fights.
Those are the...
But that's why Recton's good. All the boys I spar, we have equal spars, but they've been boxing since they're 12 and they've had about 40 fights. But we spar and we're equal, then it makes you think, okay, they've been boxing since young, and we can still... Because a lot of them, bro, when they start about 12, their parents force them, right? When they hit about 18, and they can go out and do what they want, party and whatever, they don't want to do boxing no more, because they've already had about 40 fights. And that's why a lot of them stop. When they go from like a youth or a junior level to a senior level, a lot of boys don't continue. They stop.
That's what happened to me. So I started boxing young. I started at 12. So when like he said, he got motivated through like our uncles and myself. I got motivated from my uncles. So my eldest uncle, one of my oldest uncles that's in Dubai right now, he's a personal trainer there.
Yeah.
He motivated me a lot. He was like a father figure to me. And what happened was, I remember like when he went to when he went Thailand, he started training and he was there for a year. And we used to Skype call a lot. And I saw his body transformation. He was like one of them like bodybuilders that went there to train Muay Thai, and he just went super lean. And I was like, right, uncle, I want a body like that now. And he used to say to me, listen, do this, do this, do this. And then when I saw his fights on YouTube, that motivated me. I was like, if my uncle can do it, I can do it. And then I started watching Mike Tyson online, and I started going boxing clubs. So I started at 12. I trained hard for like 3 years. I didn't even have my first bout till I was 15. And my coaches kept pushing me. They're like, listen, you need to fight ASAP. It's in your blood. Just fight. I was like, no, I want to make sure I know my stuff. And I travelled a lot. I started off at Leighton Youth Boxing Club. A shout out to Fimba and Jeff if they see this. And I was training at Leighton Youth, and I used to go to a pro club called Sparta in Chingford. And I remember I was like 13. I was like 50 kilo, and I used to spar like grown adults that were 70. Getting my ass whooped, and they used to teach me a lot as well about the inside game. And then I was training there, and I trained at Peacocks as well with Tony Cisse. And then after that, what happened was I had my first bout at 15. I remember in that year I had 3 bouts at 15, 3 at like 16, and then in college I had so many fights. That's where I had all the rest of my fights. I had like about 12 fights in 1 year. That's including amateur and white collar. I had so many amateur bouts in that year. And but then what happened to me was so I was 19 and 0, and then what happened was, you know when you start boxing and then in your local area you get like the local fame. I started getting too much local fame, and then what it was I didn't have no one to keep me grounded at that time. So you know you have your mates who are like gassing you up and stuff. That's what started happening to me. I started thinking I was the American of the area. And then you start like going down the deviant path, and then you start using your boxing for like wrong reasons and stuff. And then I got a bit sidetracked, unfortunately, and then I went astray. And then my coaches used to call me like, what you doing, like box, you got talent. And unfortunately I let that talent kind of go. And that's why I say to him, I say, listen, if you have hard work and discipline, you can achieve it. Because me, I said, don't be like me, I'm a has-been now, man. I had bags of talent, but I let it go because I wasn't disciplined. That was the difference.
Discipline's key.
I was very talented. I would go into fights. I remember I fought the Haringey Box Cup champion. His name was Giles. That was my last amateur fight. That was in, I think, 2017. And that was at lightweight at 60 kilo. And we just had it was a home show at the time. It wasn't a home show, it was an away show. It was in Dagenham. And all that happened was I didn't even train for the fight. I've done about 4 weeks of training twice a week. I was going out at night having like kebab rolls with the boys and whatnot. And I went to the fight and I beat him. Beat him like just with ease. And my coach was saying, are you going to take it seriously? But the back of my mind was like, oh, there's no family support. And then I had to see high level boxers I knew personally, like British champions. They used to be like, Hass, listen, if you're looking at it from a money perspective, you're not going to make money in this game unless you make it top level. And then I started weighing out the risks and rewards. And then I was like, you know what, it's not for me, but now looking back at it, I do feel I'm like, damn, when I see some boxers now that I've boxed with, I'm not going to name names, but I've boxed with them, and they're on like Box Nation now, Sky Sports, and they're like up there. I'm like, man, we used to have good sparring sessions, and you lot were a lot bigger than me. And I used to like put it on them. I'm like, damn, that could have been me now. But it all comes down to discipline. That's where he's disciplined, alhamdulillah. He's very disciplined.
And he's got a support network too. Because what it is, if you go astray, you've got people to say, look, listen, you need to check yourself. Because it's that's important.
Even my dad's like that. Before, my dad used to always say, go study. And now he says, when's your next fight? Why are you not going training today? It was never like that before. But obviously, when you have someone, or my cousin asking, do you want to come and train with so-and-so, come and train with me, you want to train more, innit?
Yeah, you want to train and you want to get it on. So is it one of those things where, would you put study second, or are you still keeping it up on level?
I keep it equal, because there are people that are very good amateurs, they win everything as an amateur, and they turn pro and they do nothing. And they get depressed and they don't know what to do. So I keep it kind of equal. But it's where I just study and box, that's it. I go uni, I study, I stay in the library all day, and I go train the whole night.
That's discipline in itself.
And I do that every day, and then I work on the weekend and I'll train when I come home from work. I don't do nothing else. That's all I do, just train and study. When you only do those 2 things, you don't socialise, I don't really go out with no friends or nothing like that. You don't really, it's equal, but they're both very high. It's to a high standard, both of them. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on studying or training. I do a lot with both.
That's a proper fighter's mentality. You like Hass will agree with me. I'm sure you will. And disagree with me if you don't. But like, I'll tell you this now. Like friends Friends can make you or break you, and you know when you say you don't socialize, I think that's a blessing in itself.
See, I hope he learns from my mistakes, because when I had the boxing shows, you seen, like when I had my last fight, it was on my boxing show. I had like, I think there was 400 people there. I had like 30 people walking me out, but now there's none of them there anymore, man. When I gave it up, there's none of them there anymore.
My best mate's a boxer as well, innit? So it kind of helps because he trains as well. He only had 2 fights, but because when he sees me doing it, he wants to do it again now. So he started training. He trains at Fitzroy Lodge. It's another big amateur club. So it's one of them. If when your mates are doing it as well,
it's a nice competition, a nice like thing that boosts you up, and you
do the same things. You both just want to train and go home and eat good, and so it's easy, innit?